Welcome to 51 Radio, where we regularly chat with our diverse subscribers like you with unique domain knowledge related to China to share with other members. I'm pleased to chat with Mr. Stanley Kee, a veteran market research leader for over 25 years. Stanley is a Singaporean. He was ex-managing director for APAC for Circana, one of the world's largest market research companies. Before Circana, Stanley was ex-managing director for Southeast Asia for GfK Asia, also a market research powerhouse. In today's conversation, I picked Stanley's brains on what he thought should be the best approach for Chinese companies expanding overseas, why he is confident about China's future, and where is Asia's market research industry going. Hi Stanley, thank you for joining us. Before we move on, could you do a brief intro about yourself for our audience?
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Robert, for having me today. My name is Stanley. I am considered a veteran in the market research industry. Okay, I have about 25 years of market research industry experience, and my experience spread from consumer technology, IoT related products, to, consumer durables like fashion, sports, lifestyle, beauty business, and even toys related products business. So in the field of market research, I have seen quite a wide variety of business, and we serve clients through service as a platform, software as a service, SaaS. And so I think it has been very interesting 25 years. Actually, I'm educated in engineering, and I've done a lot of other areas of work. And I hope today in this recording, I can share some valuable information for our listeners. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. So you are Singaporean.
Yes.
You are based in Singapore.
Yes,
right?
But I've been doing business around APAC for the last 35 years.
Exactly. Is there any geographical focus?
No, it's the whole of APAC. My experience spreads around in the last 25 years, the whole of Asia Pacific, whether it's North Asia, Southeast Asia, or whatever.
I see.
Including the Oceania business. I did cover the geography.
There's a question that many of our subscribers would love to ask, and they are very interested in, is this big trend of the Chinese companies going global. Expanding overseas, not just the manufacturing capacity, but also the business models, the brands. It has been an emerging trend of the last few years. On our Baiguan newsletter and podcast, we have many articles and discussions about this big theme. So I would want to ask, from the vantage point of you as a market research veteran, with decades of experience based in Singapore and extensive experience all across Asia Pacific. What are some of the key trends you are observing about these so-called Chinese companies going global trend, especially in the Singapore and also Southeast Asia regions?
Yes, it has been a great last decade of the Chinese company that are growing, and Chinese company going out of China, going to overseas. But what's important is the trend these days is Chinese company no longer come out of China just for business. They no longer just come to Singapore or Southeast Asia to grab market share or just to get business. Today, they're coming out of China to Singapore and to Southeast Asia, using Southeast Asia as a springboard to the global world. Some or many are putting their regional headquarters in Singapore, some put in Thailand, some of them even put in Malaysia as well. Okay, the difference is that there's a huge advantage for Chinese company now coming to Southeast Asia, because Southeast Asia should not be seen as an individual country, whether it's Singapore, Malaysia, or Indonesia. you should see Southeast Asia as half of China, right? China has 1.4 billion population. Southeast Asia in total has about 650 million population. So that's roughly half of China. So means as a Chinese company, if you are competing very severely in China and you want to expand your market, you have half of China in Southeast Asia. Half of China, it is big enough as a playing field. So like it's in China, whereby you have tier 1, tier 2 cities, okay? In Southeast Asia, all the capital cities, the top 14, 15, 30 cities are equivalent to your China tier 1, tier 2, or tier 2.5 cities. So it's a very interesting market. Chinese companies have now understood and now are trying to leverage on this golden opportunity in this timing, especially post-COVID. They know they have to grow the company differently from now on.
Right, that's very interesting. The idea that SEA is really like half of China in terms of city tiers, in terms of population. There's a lot of similarities. But I would imagine there could be many differences, right? To start from, many of the countries in Southeast Asia, they speak different languages. Do you see complications over there, difficulties of organizing among these different geographies, different markets? What could be the challenges in that kind of direction, the cultural communication, the cross-country, the cross-market efforts? Is it true that for Chinese companies, they need to set up very dedicated teams for each specific markets?
I think the answer is yes and no. But the important underlying factor is that doing business in Southeast Asia, not just Singapore, is different from 10 years ago or even before COVID. Okay. Now, the difference is that in the past, Chinese company come to Southeast Asia to sell their products. Okay, I have a washing machine, I have a TV, it's low price, it works, and you try to grab market share. You challenge the Koreans, you challenge the Japanese brands or whatever. But things are different today. Chinese company should not come into Southeast Asia just to grab market share. I think Chinese companies today are coming in to Southeast Asia to blend into the society, to integrate and bring value to the society, not just by saying that, please buy my product or services because it's cheap. It's no longer that. And that's the difference. And that will help them to change. As long as this mindset is maintained and approach is changed, you don't have to worry about this barrier of language or culture or etc. But you must have this mindset. You cannot depend like in the past. I have a cheap air conditioner, cheaper than Korean, cheaper than Japanese, and it works. Today, the consumers, the middle class of Southeast Asia grew just like in China. So China has a huge middle class that drove the economy for the last 1 to 2 decades. Same for Southeast Asia. So the middle class consuming power has risen, has rised, and then they are expecting quality products. So no more just aiming for cheap products. Chinese company must bring good quality product and services and integrate with the society. And then, language, culture, all these can be bridged if you have a good intention to blend with the society, to contribute to the society, to integrate with the society, not just here to do business, so that you give back something to the society. And with that kind of objective, Chinese company can be very successful. Pardon me to give you another point that today, Chinese companies are no longer coming here just to sell complete product or give their hardware, the physical product. A lot of Chinese companies in Singapore are non-physical products, right? They are in like Alibaba, Tencent, ByteDance, that use Singapore as a springboard to go global, even try to get listing in New York or London. And you have companies like the English name is called Pensys. I think it's an AI visual analytics software. They don't develop in China. They come here, employ people. They do CCTV camera systems for governments, for security purpose. And we have companies like Tongtun Technology. They are also intelligent risk management company that use AI. So companies don't bring their complete product from China to here. They also come here to develop localized product and use localized people. Also, even companies like Yitu, YITU, they are doing all these intelligent operation and management technologies for public security and all these which are very useful. And of course, traditionally, games developer like Yuzu are also here in the region. So they don't develop Chinese games and bring here, expect Indonesia or Malaysia to play the games. They come here and develop the taste here, right? And also maybe one last example is Envision. Envision is a company that provide wind turbine, wind energy, so green environment energy. So just like in China, offshore or on mainland, you have a lot of wind turbines. The Chinese company are bringing in their technology, coming to Southeast Asia to help the environmental business, save the earth, and contributing a lot to the society. So I think it's exciting times, really exciting times for Chinese company to get out of China, leverage another half of China in Southeast Asia.
I love the word you use, integration. It's not just as a businessman, not just as a merchant selling a product to find a buyer, right? It's also about integration. Can you give us some concrete examples of what do you mean by integration?
Right.
What is really to integrate into the local economy and society?
Right. I'll give you an example of one coffee chain. Okay, now we speak about food industry, F&B industry, coffee chain, Luckin. Luckin, very famous Chinese brand, coffee chain. Okay, they came to Singapore not too long ago. I think they're expanding into Malaysia. I think that's good. I think brands like Luckin, they have done a very good first step. But I think it is only the first step and there are many more steps to go. Let me elaborate a little bit. Okay, Luckin concept in Singapore here, as far as I understand, take and go away. Not so much of a sitting around to drink coffee. But that may not be correct. The Southeast Asia region culture really like to sit at a coffee shop for chit-chat. Because, for example, it is tradition that the insurance, people who sell insurance, who give side chat talk, a lot of happenings in China, a lot of things happen over a dinner, a business, in a closed room in a restaurant, traditionally. In Southeast Asia, business, chats, deals, besides the boardroom, a lot are done over coffee chat. So, for example, if I were to be Luckin, I would suggest that they have more sittings rather than to say that I want to compete for non-sitting type because rental space is expensive and all that. Plus, the Southeast Asia culture don't just drink coffee. They take local snacks. Local snacks. And I observed that Luckin try to do the same, for example. But the important thing is the local Indonesian, the local Vietnamese, they like to sit in low stools and all that. They eat local snacks and drink local coffee. So while Luckin Coffee is very good, I think they could do more. I think they've done something very right, very good, but they did not leverage or market it strongly. For example, I was very impressed, and many of my friends are very impressed with the coconut latte idea from Luckin. I personally love it, latte, not the American latte, the coconut latte. Because coconut is a very important ingredient in all over Southeast Asia. A lot of food, curry, a lot of food, pastries and snacks, all have coconut. So a coconut latte is a great idea. And Luckin has started it, but I think they have not make it big, blow a trumpet about it. Frankly, if Starbucks would have discovered this, I think they will make it a very super big deal, you know. So I think it was great of Luckin to have this coconut latte, but you have to make it big and understand that this is something that the market loves. So I think Luckin has, for example, made a very good first step, but there are opportunities for them to leverage and expand much further and grow and flourish their business further.
That's very interesting. Obviously, you've mentioned about all these different types of businesses, not just consumer, but also wind turbines, also risk management, also software. It seems all these industries are flourishing. And my question will be, you mentioned that you think Luckin is great, but they're not doing as great as they should be, right? And it seems there are a lot of local insights, a lot of knowledge that seems like the local experts like you have. My question is, what do you think? Why do you think a company like Luckin, they have not evolved with those local insights yet? I mean, they have been in the Singapore market for some time now. I heard they're also breaking into other markets in the Southeast Asia. What do you think they have to change or have to have this level of insight?
Continue the discussion concerning coffee business, right? I think I dare not say I want to understand why Luckin has not leveraged or what they can do better, because I'm not in the management. I don't know how the management think and their strategy, how they are planning their strategy. But from me to advise on such kind of business in Southeast Asia, I think in my personal view, F&B business, you have to be very aggressive. You cannot just one punch and then stop. You have to keep punching and multiple punch, you know, because like in Indonesia, there are a lot of coffee chains as well. And even the successful Indonesia coffee chain is coming into Singapore. So in F&B business, in my view, you have to be very aggressive. Frankly, in my view, if I may give the example back in China, like Starbucks in China when they were growing, they keep developing and keep opening new outlets. I think same here for Southeast Asia. Okay. Once you start, you cannot stop, and you cannot just start and grow on a linear pace. You have maybe if I may use the word, you have to grow on an exponential base. You have to be very aggressive. You cannot roll up only one shop or one country. You really have to go all the way out. And I think Luckin have this window of opportunity to continue their aggressive expansion and can take a faster and more aggressive pace before more competitors come in. I think it's to strike the balance of growing but also adapting to local culture, right? Because if you see local pastries, they are even trying to incorporate a lot of durian flavor, which, for example, Chinese company and Chinese consumers have started to like or accept durian flavor food products besides just as a fruit. So in short, in a nutshell, you have to be aggressive and expand and adapt locally. If you see McDonald's, they are adapting very well. They have their own standard American menu, but always they have their rendang burger, which is a local beef rather than the American beef. They have the ninja burger or something like that. They have Japanese flavor. They have all sorts of flavor. But they keep expanding, and that's the only way. You can't stop. You can't take your time and slowly do things in F&B. So that's one part of a suggestion for such kind of a company. I think another company that has done well is the EV market. And I would like to specifically mention about BYD. BYD, before COVID, was it's probably a cheap product. I don't know the quality. And, if I spare money, I may buy one and try. Post-COVID, people view BYD totally differently. Totally differently. Now, BYD is seen as a technology leader in the EV industry. It is seen as just as good as those Continental car, the likes of the Merc of BMW, because, okay, it has branded itself to be a very innovative brand, a very good brand that is always giving the consumers the latest state-of-art technology, big display, great features, great internal spacious design with a lot of consideration for consumer needs, and very active in their roadshow. And they're not just going for price. They're giving a lot of warranty and guarantee on their batteries and the mileage. And I think they are really giving a very strong, good example of how a Chinese company should really penetrate. I never see BYD stop their aggression in penetrating into the market. They just go non-stop. And I think that should be the way. You can't relax. I think being aggressive and grow with the community is the best way. I think BYD is having a good time in Southeast Asia, also in Singapore, in my view.
Are there bad examples? Are there examples of failures or companies that you think have difficulties? I mean, Chinese companies having difficulties in expanding in Southeast Asia?
Well, I think Southeast Asia, maybe one of the mobile phone company can also do better. So if you see that we have Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo, at one time, I think Xiaomi was very strong. But it seems to have cooled down a little. But I think Oppo is doing great. And I can tell you why image of Oppo is doing very well, because it is projecting itself differently. I think they are now quite successfully ditching off that Oppo is from China. So as a Chinese company, you don't want to connect, say that I'm from China. Okay, it doesn't mean that from China is no good, but you must bring out the strong points of what you have. And then it is from China, never mind. But you are a very strong and great company with great product. I think that is the key, that Oppo is doing pretty good. I think they are marketing very strongly. For example, my phone also have AI. So they're following the trend very well. They know what consumers like to hear, to know that they are having the best product with the latest state-of-art technology. So they're promoting that their phone have AI capabilities built in. They will be promising customers you have the best AI feature that's going to support your needs. You are going to have beyond a phone, you're going to have an AI intelligence capability. I think all these are changing the image and impression of the brand. And that's fantastic. And those, if they are up to now, not announcing or not saying that they have AI, those brands, for example, in the mobile phone are a bit lag behind. I think Oppo has done great in that sense. Many people in the outside world may think that they have an impression that, China always never really innovate, always copy technology, very good in copying, and then immediately produce a product very fast. But that's not true. That's not true. Today, Chinese companies have their own knowledge, capability, technology, and innovation. And this is what Chinese companies must sell to the world, especially Southeast Asia, to believe that, no, we are not copycat. We have our own capability, innovation. We have our own new product, and it's good. It will benefit your lifestyle, your needs. I think this is very important. And Chinese company, in the past, people may believe that, they come here to grab market, to enter the market and grab share with a low price thing. Now, I would encourage Chinese company not to depend on low price product, okay, but to bring good products and value to the consumers, to change the image of the consumers in Southeast Asia. So let's get rid of those China being a copycat. That's not true, okay? And you have your own capability products to bring value to the society.
So Stanley, this is going to be a little bit personal question. So we actually met each other last year, right? Around the same time of last year in Shanghai. You were one of the first foreigners I met post-COVID, post the lockdown. And at the time, you also struck me as someone who was very forward-looking. You were very ambitious, you were forward-looking, and you clearly believe in the China market when a lot of the people kind of lost faith, right? Especially last year during the depth of this post-COVID kind of trauma. So just would love to ask, as a Singaporean, why do you have so much confidence? Why you have so much optimism about the Chinese economy, the Chinese market? What part of your past experience helped shape that as a foreigner?
Yeah. So perhaps being a Chinese, I understand China better and more than maybe some people. Okay. Now, if you look at back history, China always survive. China always find their way out. China always manage to solve whatever problems they may have in their own way. It is true there may be some property issues or something that need time to resolve. But remember, today's China, and also in the past, the outcome of the economy is not really necessarily driven by central government, in my view. The consumers' needs will drive changes in the market. Okay? If this is not available, if this is blocked, if cannot be done, Chinese consumers, Chinese businessmen always find their own alternative way. That's the reality. Chinese people, creativity never stop. Yes, okay, I have problem here, I have roadblock here, I'm not allowed to do things here and there, I'm not allowed to export here and there. Chinese people are not going to sit around and wait and do nothing. Chinese people will find their own way. That is the reality in the whole history of China. If I cannot find a job, I cannot do business here, I'll find somewhere. I'll do somewhere. I'll find some way to do business. That is in the DNA of the Chinese, not necessarily driven by whatever government. It's just Chinese people will do this. People who love to do business will find a way to do business. The good consumers who want what they want will find a way to get what they want, their way. And these are the innovations. That's how our e-commerce and live stream boom become the leadership in the world, if I may say. To some extent, at least to a certain point. Right? That's Chinese. You can't stop the Chinese consumers, businessmen.
Yeah, it deeply resonates with me. In many of the commentaries, the articles we are writing at Bike One, we keep reminding people, especially the doomsayers of China, that they project too much of their own fear of an authoritarian system into understanding China, but they deprive the Chinese people of the agency, their own individual choices when they analyze China. They deprive that part, the human agency, from any framework to think and theorize about China, which is, to me, very strange because ideally, if you are from the Western society, you would assume there's a lot of agency. There's a lot of individual choices. So that's quite jarring to me. And I think I totally agree with you. When you think about the Chinese market, you have to think from the perspective of individuals, of consumers, of business people who have their choices to make, who are deep down free, and there's a deep sense of democracy there. And I think that's also why our team at Bike One fundamentally believe about China's future.
If I may add that, I don't,
yeah.
Let's put geopolitics aside, put geopolitics and put whatever doomsday or put whatever aside. The reality is China is the number 2 economy in the world. Yes, it may face some challenges. Other economies are also facing challenges. Let's put that aside. The reality, from a number 2 economy in the world, China won't overnight diminish its economy to number 20 or number 10. It's hard even to go down to number 5. It's very difficult even. So let's be realistic. It's too big to become any smaller already. It perhaps will slow down in the growth, but it won't be smaller or diminish overnight. And that is the reality. So let's not underestimate. Time will tell, time will prove. I think the important thing is to work together and enjoy all the available capabilities of everybody so that the region, the economy, the people can prosper and have a good life.
Great. So let's change the gears a little bit. As we have been saying, you are a veteran in the market research industry in Asia. Could you take the audience into understanding a little bit more about what market industry is there in Asia? How big is it? What are the trends that you are observing in this industry? Both, APAC, both Southeast Asia, as well as China, because I know China also falls under your purview as well.
Yeah. In my view, the market research industry has to change, will change, and is changing. And AI is coming in at the right time, at the best time, to move faster, to move the changes faster. I think with AI handling the data lake, big data, analytics, all these are not a problem. All these are just technology. You just need a couple of good programmers' brain and good hardware chips, cloud services. A lot of things can be developed. I think market research has a very good opportunity to go into consulting. In the past, when we say market research, you want to go into consulting services like those of McKinsey, the big consulting houses, may be difficult. Maybe there's a difference in the nature or the service. But today with AI, market research industry players can really go very close up to the consulting services, consulting companies, because the upstream and the top tier business is really the way. And the market research industry has a good opportunity because they have the real industry knowledge. They have the ground knowledge, they have the network, they have the data, they have the experience, and they can really give those big consulting company a run for the money. I think what the market research company can do more is to develop the kind of right products and services, similar or competitive to the consulting company. Because they were very ground up information, providing data, insights, and then you have to upgrade to provide solution, end-to-end solution, not just specific solution about retail, about channel structure. You have to have a whole suite of solution to match those consulting company. And I think that's a great future to transform market research company. But I think at the end of the day, they won't be called market research company. You either call it an IT technology company or IT consulting company. But it's good opportunity. Technology is here. They have the fundamentals. They do not need to go back to the past where they are expert in certain areas, like whether they are in FMCG or electronics or general merchandise. With AI today, as long as they got the knowledge, data, expert, they can be developing end-to-end solutions for their client and be on the arena of the consulting company level, in my view.
That's good to know. What about the companies who are using those services? Is there a difference between, say, global companies or Southeast Asian companies? and the Chinese companies? From what you are seeing, what will be the differences in terms of purchasing and service models between China and non-Chinese companies?
Yes, I think in the past, there were a lot of big differences because Western company, global company, which tend to be a bit more Western, are more, used to using market research services. Okay. And Chinese company were using less or leverage less on it. But with AI and technology coming into the world is changing because the services and the abilities are changing. So I believe the Asian companies, whether it's North Asia or Southeast Asia, will soon, because of the attraction and appeal of technology like AI, bring in very strong value. And if the market research can bring in a lot of end-to-end solution, not just very silo, segmental, vertical solution, end-to-end solution that comprise a series of actionable solutions for clients, there's no difference in the future world. Technology will blur everything, and technology will bring everybody to the level playing field. Whether in the past you are a good user of market research or not, it doesn't matter. Technology forces you to think differently, and at this juncture, are you going to leverage to do business better? Are you going to get this service to perform better in your business? That's all. And it's up to the leadership, the management, to use their foresight and to think, am I going to invest? What kind of solutions or services to bring my business to the next level? Yeah.
That's great. You think innovation, technology will basically make the field more even and make the technology apply to more players. In terms of data, you used to work at this big market research company while I run a data company, and we work closely with market research people, and we also have a lot of overlap. So in terms of new sources of data in Southeast Asia, right? I know the South Asian societies are rapidly digitalizing, and there could be more and more interesting data out there. What do you think will be the next biggest area of innovation or some new type of data source that could shed more light, that is more helpful for the companies expanding there?
Right. I think data source is one thing due to the world everywhere getting more sensitive about privacy of personal information or company corporate information. Sometimes it may be difficult to get access of data. So I believe that while privacy is important, whether at an individual consumer level or at a corporate company level, but the perspective of getting good solution comes from the intent of doing good business or bringing good value back to the consumers. Okay. So I believe in whether you have offline data, online data, bank card data, internet, e-commerce data, whatever. I believe whatever, you may not have all the data, but it's about collaboration. And through collaboration to find that 1 + 1 is not equals to 2, maybe equals to 3, or maybe equals to 2.5. Yeah. I think that is the way to go, and not just say that, my data is like that, I cannot share with you. I think of the value of what is the 1 + 1. 1 + 1 equals 2.5 or 3. And then if there's a value to bring to consumers, bring to the business, to level up the business, both parties should think of ways to resolve the limitations, be it privacy or corporate red tapes, etc. I think that's the way to go.
Right. Great. Thank you so much, Stanley.
Welcome.
Thank you for sharing your insights of many subjects for the audience. We welcome you back at some point later as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I hope to all the listeners, it has been an interesting talk. Just hopefully this sharing can help to enhance each other understanding and give a variety of understanding for different people in different parts of the world. Thank you for inviting me, Robert. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.